Hi there, this is Dr. Erin. I am coming to you here from Connecticut. I am really excited to be a part of this Fit Happens group. At this point in our journey, we are heading on a couple weeks in, and I'm sure at this point some of you are seeing results, whether that be down a couple pounds, a little more energy, better sleeping, just whatever your positive affirmation is, we are taking it, and I am here to talk a little bit about why that may be happening. I truly believe that if you understand at least a little bit that you're healing from the inside out, even though you may only be observing the outer results, then it's easier maybe as we go through to overcome some obstacles, or easier to stick to the program or make a better bad choice, or however it can help you. That's why I'm here. I just want to add anything I can to help people get through and push through, especially as we come upon the holidays and things like that. For me, I love the Isagenix products. Unlike some of the moderators and some of you here, am fairly new to the program. I've only been newly introduced about 6 months. A little bit about how and why, a little history about me. Like I said, was a chiropractor. I am a chiropractor, and from about age 30 on, becoming, really delving into my profession, becoming a mom, a wife, and friend, and taking on all these responsibilities and trying to be the best at all of it, we just get run down. Everybody, we're overworked, we're overstressed, we're overscheduled, and we're trying to be our best, and expectations are we want this done yesterday, and you can just get on that sort of train and never get off, and you're just pushing, and normal just keeps changing, and normal feels negative, but we don't even know, because our normal just keeps, our standards are less and less for ourselves as we're trying to please others. And that's where I found myself. And for me, it took something drastic to change. At 36 years old, I tragically lost my husband. At the time, my kids were 2 and 3 years old. It was an impossible, looking back, I don't even know how we got through it all. But in the 3 years since that, there was 3 years there where I just was pushing through even harder. I pushed through in the same way, but layered on top of it was this extra stress and extra trauma, and you just keep going and put your head down and work right through it all. Fast forward to this year, I got married. I found myself pregnant, actually, with identical twin boys, which was a surprise, very exciting, but it was a surprise. And I knew leaving that appointment that I had to do something. Over those 3 years of struggle, I did find myself in plenty, I was feeling the effects. They became physical manifestations, and I had found myself at times in different doctor's office, different naturopathic offices, different psychologist offices, whatever it was. I found myself sitting there, taking whatever they gave me and saying, okay, here's your thyroid is a little off, here's a thyroid med. And I would go home and I would take it, and whether or not that worked is great. But it wasn't healing it wasn't healing me. It wasn't doing what I needed. It wasn't the connector to make everything start jiving. So I knew I needed something. I knew that these babies needed not such a dangerous environment to live in, and that I just wasn't finding it. I had a lot of patients that had a lot of success with the Isagenix product line, so I just started doing shakes. I did a shake every morning. I just added it to my nutrition. And in 5 days, I felt the difference. 5 days, I can only describe it as blinders going up on my eyes. I had more energy. I could see clearer. I felt some of my negative thought processes were changing. I just felt like getting more human. I felt like I'd been existing for a long time. And then finally I was getting a little bit of life back and starting to live a little bit. So that's how it went for me. I continued on throughout my pregnancy. And then, in that time I had left my chiropractic office for X amount of time with delivering twins. So I've had time to sort of delve into this company and research. And, as I share with every friend, family member, patient, acquaintance, anybody who will listen, I watch their symptoms, however individualized they are, whatever they need, I feel like they're getting out of this program. And so I have a few things I want to share about why I really believe for me and for a lot of overworked, overstressed people, which is, I believe, everyone, even if that's not why you come to this program, you may be here just for weight loss and then realize, wow, I'm really feeling a lot better in other areas. So I think one of the main problems in our society as a whole is that we are all suffering from something called adrenal fatigue. So these are some buzzwords that you're going to see as you start to delve more into the company, as you join groups, as you see things on Facebook, as you go through here. So I'm going to break this up because I can talk for hours. I could teach a whole class on this, but I'm just going to talk, keep it sort of segmented to adrenal fatigue. And we're going to talk about what, why, and how. So the what is going to be the adrenals, what's causing it. The why is going to be, why do we feel this way? Why do we have these symptoms? Why is our body, what's happening in our body? And the how is Isagenix helping us? And that is going to be adrenals, cortisol, and adaptogens. So let's start with the adrenal glands themselves. The adrenals are two glands. They sit right on top of your kidneys. They are responsible for a host of jobs in the body. They release a lot of hormones, which then, domino effects to organ function, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they are really critical in maintaining homeostasis and just maintaining body balance. They're responsible for the estrogen, testosterone, aldosterone, blood pressure, metabolism, body's response to stress, all of this. We are focusing today on just the release of cortisol, because cortisol is huge, and cortisol's job is metabolism as well as body's response to stress, which are two huge pieces of Isagenix and why it's helping. So cortisol itself, like I said, is released from the adrenal glands in response to stress. This is a survival mechanism. We do need that. It is hugely important in life. We need this. It is a requirement. It keeps us balanced. It prepares us for fight or flight. It stimulates a whole host of other mechanisms that happen once it's released. And it comes from evolution. We've evolved into this where we had to get away from threats. We had to be alerted by them. We had to remove ourselves from the situations. And all of that is still very important. What has changed drastically in our culture is this is what used to happen. The stress comes in, the adrenals release cortisol, the body reacts to that in the proper way, the stress leaves. We come back to balance and we continue. So in that situation, which is what used to happen, the adrenals got a rest. The cortisol stopped being released, the threat was removed, and we continued on. This day and age, it can be a less of a, let's say, life-threatening stress, but we are under stress all the time. Whether it is a traffic jam, running late to work, an overzealous boss, whoever you're trying to please or whatever you're trying to run to or whatever you're trying to do, it's a constant input of stress. And that chronic, constant stress, that chronic, constant strain on the adrenals is causing adrenal fatigue. And that is where we differ from what used to happen. The adrenals are releasing cortisol all of the time. And then in that stage, you're releasing it all the time, and then you're getting the increase in the spikes. So you're fatiguing the adrenals, but then you still get that fight or flight response. You still get that extra stressor. You're just starting at a higher level. So it's cortisol release, cortisol spike, dip. And these are the dips that you feel during the day. These are the dips that are affecting our lives. So our adrenals, I believe as a society, this is why I believe these products can help anybody, because everybody is under this newfound stress. It's a new normal. And our food and our sources, they're just not made to overcome this input into our body. And this is the bottom line. That is why I believe these products work. So that's a little bit about cortisol. What are some symptoms, let's say, of adrenal fatigue? How do you know if you have this? How do you know? Well, obviously, there's fatigue. The adrenals work a lot on blood pressure, so you start to crave salty foods because you're trying to regulate that as the cortisol is off. You crave salty foods, sleep disturbances, and as I said, fatigue. But interestingly enough, there's fatigue, and then there's an interesting component to adrenal fatigue that is nighttime arousal. So you're fatigued, but then at night you get this little rush, like, you're up late doing something or you can't fall asleep. And that is a big symptom of this as well. Muscle aches, a huge is an intolerance to stress. And if we can't all admit to this, I believe that we can. An intolerance to stress, whether it be a noise intolerance, less patience with your boss, less patience with your kids, less patience when your cat meows, whatever it is, you're just like ready to snap all the time. And that's because your adrenals aren't resting. So everything's a little bit, frayed edges. You're ready to go. They're fatigued. They can't react. They can't respond to the stress in the proper way. And those are all outer things, but this is happening at this cell level. So the cells are also damaged, and that's where we're sort of spiraling out of control as a society. And that's where where it used to ease off and you have this period of ease. We don't have that. We have a period of dis-ease. And I'm not calling it disease. I'm saying dis-ease. And that's this whole host of symptoms that you just don't feel good. You don't feel right. You don't feel like you're alive inside. You're just kind of existing. And that's the problem. We need to fix that. As adrenal fatigue spirals out of control and is more consistent, it is linked to a host of disorders: overweight, obesity, leading to diabetes, thyroid conditions, autoimmune conditions, because our immune system is down when our cortisol is high. It's linked to, blood pressure, cardiovascular problems. This is a whole body problem, and it's down to these two little glands that we are just overworking. And I truly believe this system is for everyone, because I truly believe everybody needs this. So how is Isagenix helping this system? I'm going to just highlight a couple of the products I think is the best way. So if we start with the Ionix Supreme, the Ionix Supreme is loaded with adaptogens. What is an adaptogen? The adaptogen is a substance in your bloodstream that its whole job is to decrease stress on the cell. It sort of up levels the physiological stability in the cell. So your cell is more apt to respond, and then there's a domino effect of positivity through that, and what that cell's job is and where it goes and what its function is, etc. So you get the benefit of just at the cellular level where it all begins, we have more productivity, and that is what adaptogens are for. You'll notice Ionix Supreme, I would never think, people start this for weight loss, and 5 days later I'm getting a text of a picture of their bottle of Ionix Supreme and calling it Mother's Miracle or better than coffee, or I can't even talk about all the things that I've heard, and it's always a picture of that Ionix Supreme. And I know for myself, I will never go a day without a shot, or mostly two of it. So that has been life-changing. I believe that the adaptogens in that are great. I mean, I've, like I said, been to a bunch of naturopaths, and as a holistic chiropractic in that profession, I've been taking adrenal supports for a long time, and they have pieces of what's in that Ionix Supreme. So it's a very important in the product line. I think everybody can benefit from it. The shakes themselves, just the fact that the shakes are so nutrient dense, and it's not just the name of the nutrients on the back of the shake that is what's interesting and what makes it work. It's that those nutrients are in a high quality form. They're in a form that the body is able to absorb, and they're coming into your body with coenzymes, cofactors, amino acids, with things that help them get into your cell. So that's the main problem, is that in the past we had, for me at least, I feel like was always eating healthy and getting nutrients coming into, I was always eating healthy, but I feel like whatever nutrients I was intaking were rushing by in my bloodstream. They were rushing by my shriveled cells that were like waving out an SOS and trying to get them in, but the nutrients were just going by. They weren't coming in. And I really feel that once I started taking these, superfoods and this nutrient-dense products, they were like life rafts. The nutrients were coming by, but they were they were able to come by with their coenzyme that got them out of my bloodstream and into my cell, and then on to where they had to go to help my body. So just the shakes themselves. And then, even back to the adaptogens. The adaptogens are also in the eShot. I don't want to leave that out because that is also another great product. If anybody is using Isagenix and still taking 5-Hour Energies, stop now and order eShots. They have the same effect, and the health difference is a whole nother lecture, but those also have adaptogens in them. And then as Anne Baranti had done previous in this Fit Happens group, the cleansing itself is great for everything. And, just the intermittent fasting part of it to let your adrenals have a rest for that day is beneficial. And never mind the cellular support we're getting by taking, by having a supported intermittent fasting day. So I hope this helped in some way. And I'm looking forward to being more, part of this group. And I'm looking forward to hearing watching everyone's transformations. I can't wait. I know for me, I did it for some internal transformation, and I understand the inner workings of the body. So it was easier for me to understand what was happening. And it was easy for me to share with everybody because of that. So I'm hoping that this helps you understand more, and it empowers you to realize you're changing yourself from the inside out. The outer things are great, and everybody loves to look better on the outside. But actually knowing that you're doing something to prevent disease, to help your body from the inside out is just, the most empowering thing you can do, because health is all we have. So I look forward to seeing you soon. I hope this helped somebody, and bye.